Okay. I'm sitting here watching a Canon Missing411 project, whatever video, David Paulides, uh, and I saw some poster of a book or movie in the background, and it was of the interdimensional Bigfoot. That is one of my favorite psyops ever. It's so hilarious. Okay, so if you are on channels like mine, there is a good chance at some point you have watched David Paulides or listened to him on Coast to Coast, um, or Steve, what's his face from How to Hunt, Mr. Bigfoot. I call them Mr. Bigfoot and Mr. Pilates instructor. Um, I remember I think these videos are, they're probably still online. They kind of like came up on YouTube at the same time. Mr. Pilates instructor had been on YouTube, I think maybe longer. I don't know. But they both do the censorship, the Sam Hyde censorship trick to make people think that you're legit. You cry censorship, even though you're not being censored at all. At all. And you have no fucking idea what that means. Channels like mine are censored, okay? Um, and Mr. Pilates instructor does that all of the time ad nauseum. And it's like, dude, like, you have hundreds of thousands of subs, number one. Number two, they all are true believers. They all believe your bullshit. Even though you are a former cop and a detective who then magically transferred into the technological industry that just so happened to be located in Northern California and Southern Washington, Seattle. Like, oh my God. And then magically some big moneyed, shadowy finance bros give you a million buckaroonies to figure out if Bigfoot is real or fake. And then also you work with MUFON, or you're one of the founders of MUFON, and also you manage to get on a very popular, fully controlled, like controlled opposition radio program, Art Bell. Like, Art Bell was an operator. I loved him too, but he was an operator. There's no fucking way that people like Bill Cooper and Art Bell, and then now David Paulides and Sam Hyde and Mr. Bigfoot are would ever get the reach that they got with an actual radio station. Like, come on, you guys. No. If a real, genuine, regular, normal person wanted to do that, they would be shut down at every turn unless they figured out, like, you'd have to have a very high level of intelligence to build a mass communication platform or infrastructure or both that wouldn't get shut down at every turn, because they have to control the entire narrative. Because if, God forbid, you ever actually do wake up and learn to think for yourself, which most of y'all think you're doing, but you're not. You don't even know what that means. Like, I'll put it this way. If you think in English or in your language, if you think in words, you don't think for yourself. You think about things that you're experiencing. But if you think in images, that's a pretty good sign that, you know, you're a little bit more focused on actual reality than what's been propped up for you at every turn. Okay, so anyway, and like Sam Hyde, right? Like I love Sam Hyde. I think he's one of their best, and I truly like him as a person. Although apparently he's an actual he has an ex-girlfriend who made a YouTube channel talking about what he's really like, and he's exactly like all of them. It's like they're all one person because they all behave exactly the same. Anyway, they are not affiliated with my family group. I need to say that, but we do have a common genetic association, unfortunately. Anyway, Sam Hyde, if you Google him, if you Google like anything about Sam Hyde, you're going to find out that like he got banned from YouTube, right? And yet he's got a huge channel that gets millions of views on YouTube. That's like Mr. Pilates instructor crying censorship, and Art Bell talking about how he's being harassed by the man, or Bill Cooper making you believe that like the cops were always like, or the FBI or whatever, so the spooky spooks in the shadows were always lurking behind the corner, when the spooky spook is the one on the fucking screen or on the air, literally. You guys have got to understand how artificial your reality is. Like, unless you came up with it yourself, you need to like quadruple check, like double check. Really think about it. Let's go to the funny part. So when Mr. Pilates instructor and Mr. Bigfoot became, I believe, associated in terms of who they work for. And remember, they both claim to work for themselves, right? Yeah, sure. That might be true for Mr. Bigfoot, but I don't know. Like, I can't, honestly, like, he could just be a Manchuritard. That means an unwitting Manchurian candidate who's doing the bidding of the system without realizing it. But he's so smart. It's like, how can you be that smart? But like this one thing you're super dumb at. Same for Mr. Pilates instructor, who's just so suppressed. And I'm not trying to like, punk. I feel bad for him because of his kid. I feel really bad about that. And it really makes me want, the bigger picture of that story that nobody talks about is really dark when you look into it. It's very, very dark. But anyway, when they first became associated on the internet, because their audiences wanted them to collaborate, they attended some kind of bullshit Bigfoot conference that probably cost like $500 to even get in, and then to have like a meet and greet, it's an extra 100, and if you purchase a book through them, it's $50, but you can get it on Amazon for $5, shit like that. They were on stage doing what they do, and in the background they had like this old school like projector slideshow. Like it looked like a MUFON conference from the 90s. I used to pay $75 and so that was like $500 back then. I used to pay $75 to go to MUFON conferences with my biological Earth brother or former sibling, because we both for a long time actually believed that the house I grew up on was haunted with technology. And part of that was like the alien bullshit. I've never talked about that to anyone ever. I have never, except for my brother or former, you know what I mean. Anyway, okay. So, one of those types of conferences, and like, I highly recommend you go just for the entertainment. When you go knowing that it's like a bullshit factory that makes $1 million every like couple weeks, those people make so much money. It's hilarious, but you might get kicked out. Just know those are all true believers are the most dangerous people alive, and most people are true believers. Anyway, so this poster behind them while they're on stage spewing their scripted nonsense is of a Bigfoot walking out of a backlit door. And that was like the birth of interdimensional Bigfoot. That and like Scott Carpenter. I don't know if Scott Carpenter is legitimate. I don't know. But I do think he was a good person, and I believed him for years and years and years. But if you're into like the cryptid thing, the only person I've ever found that is not a true believer or a bullshit artist is Brendan Sawain. I think it's Brenda or Den, and then Sawain, something like adventures or something. That dude was legit. That dude was legit. Vic Cundiff from Dogman Encounters can suck my dick because he's an operator. Anyway, like legitimate people, like especially now, do not get views. It's not like you are not going to. If you're anywhere near an empowering message for humanity, try it. Just try it. Even like you can, in my reality, I manifest that I'm going to get, the message is going to click and it's going to get out there. And if you look at my channel, the only stuff that gets views is the repostings I do because I think they're funny, for my own entertainment. And they're like, just, it's shit posting. And some of it is divisive. That's what gets views. But anyway, so interdimensional Bigfoot. And the door that this Bigfoot is coming out of looks like that door right there. Like the standard American home door, right? Because Bigfoot is an American, right? So I want you guys to think about this critically. People like me, I believed it for a little while. I believed Scott Carpenter, not necessarily. I always knew Mr. Pilates instructor was, I never, he just gave me like the cop vibe instant, like the very first time I heard him on the radio, because he talked about being a cop all the time. Like, that's disclosure. They have to do that. We have to do that. Well, technically everyone should do that. Americans and most other humans right now, if you show them a picture of a Bigfoot walking out of a door in the middle of the air, or a forest, or a den, a prairie, a savanna, a mountain range, insert location here, almost everyone's brain, because nobody's using their mind, is going to go to interdimensional portals. And those are a real thing, sort of. That's too organized the reality is much more natural, I would say. Like, it's as above, so below. Think about that. People, that's where people's brains go. They go to interdimensional Bigfoot instead of technological trick. What do you think has made that happen over the years? Because I tell you from experience that in the 90s, there were a lot, the vast majority of the people that would go to those MUFON things, they were like not true believers. They were there was so much more skepticism, but it's been like manipulated and eaten away and turned into just, two options. Blue or red. Male or female. Like that. No. Okay. I just think whoever came up with the idea of the psyop of interdimensional Bigfoot, who opens a door in the middle of the forest where there should be trees, and when the door opens, the room behind him is a really scary red, because it's webby scary, webby munch. And then, like, I guess that's like, his elevator door. I don't know. And then he goes to, like, fuck with you in the forest or whatever. Like, the logic is there. Why is that? What has happened that makes people come to the path of least resistance conclusion? I would love to know your thoughts on that. And thank you very much for listening.